I think all dental schools teach us how to be good technicians. We don't learn the value of business and transferable, scalable skills until we get out in the real world and work with other people, specifically a good mentor. And I think if I had one bit of advice, it's to realize that you don't know what you don't know and be willing to accept that advice and grow, because you learn to be a good dentist by the people skills and the life skills you get with working with your staff, your team, other dentists in your practice, outside your practice, groups like Freedom Founders. So we decided immediately to start with 2 practices, which very soon turned into 3 practices. That has allowed us to explore further expansion because we have more time to think about things like that. There's a lot of fear in the unknown, but it's never as bad as you think it's going to be. And as long as you're willing to put in forth the work, it turned out better than we could have ever imagined.
Good day, everyone. This is Dr. David Phelps of the Freedom Founders Mastermind Community and the Dentist Freedom Blueprint podcast. Today, we really have an opportunity, really is a privilege for me to have one of our Freedom Founders members, Dr. Cody Cowan, with us. And we're going to talk a little bit about his journey, not just in Freedom Founders, but I think in really everything he does in life with he and his family and decisions they make about what's right for them. Because I really, truly believe that how we think really shapes the actions, behaviors we take in life. And if we come from a fear-based mindset or kind of a scarcity, I don't know if I should try this or do that, it might get me out of my comfort zone, then maybe a lot of people will stay stagnant in life. So Cody, I'm really, really pleased to have you with us today.
Well, it's good to be here, Dr. Phelps. Thank you so much.
So you started your dental practice career in Shreveport, and yet you're in Baton Rouge today. So I want to kind of go through some of the iterations there, because I love that part of your story. You and I have spent some time in the past few years talking about that. And so kind of start us out with really, what was your thinking, coming out of dental school, and how did you get started with your practice in Shreveport?
My thinking when I came out of dental school was I was ready to start earning a paycheck and stop eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every night. No, Louisiana is an interesting state. I think you've got kind of different cultures in the North and the South. And I think South, specifically Baton Rouge and New Orleans, have a pretty strong pull from the people that go to school there. A lot of them stay in the South. And for that reason, it's a fun place, but it's also a very competitive market. And I'm from Shreveport, born and raised. I love it there. And I knew kind of from the time I went down to school at LSU in Baton Rouge and dental school in New Orleans, I was always at least going to move back and give it a shot. I developed a relationship while I was in school with a very successful working dentist in Shreveport from the time that I was beginning my junior year, just kind of setting the stage to earn a paycheck. I went into business with a man who, I think on the first phone call, I could tell after talking to him for 10 minutes that this guy, could teach me a lot, not just about dentistry, but, people and business and, all around just how to get out and do life. He had kind of come from similar backgrounds, and he was a hard worker. And, when I got out of dental school, I went from graduation on a Friday to work on a Monday, to married a few weeks later, brand new house. I would say that we jumped in head first for sure. We all kind of think we're a little conservative, but that time of my life seemed to move pretty fast.
So Cody, was this a doctor that you knew from obviously growing up in Shreveport? Was something that had a reputation that you already knew, or how did you enter into conversations with him initially?
Well, Shreveport's a small enough town that a lot of people know each other. And the funny thing is, this guy had been working, practicing by himself for a few years. He had an associate who was leaving, and he sent a letter to the dental school asking for people who were in New Orleans who were going to be moving to Shreveport if they were interested in an associateship. It's the first time I'd ever seen or heard of a dentist hiring an associate with a guaranteed minimum salary coming out of school. and it was a very good guaranteed minimum salary. And this guy that's how he worked. He was kind of a first in a lot of the fields in dentistry on trying new things. And it's what wrote me in for sure. The joke was kind of on him because when I went to the office and saw the letter posted on the wall, I was only a junior and he was hoping to get a senior. So in order to get me, he'd have to wait a whole nother year. But I think we talked on the phone, we hit it off. He decided to, hold the fort down for me. And when I say hold the fort down for me, this guy was a worker. He 6 days a week by himself for the 2 years without that associate waiting for me to come in. And that way, when I came in, I could hit the ground running. It was a great partnership to work out for the both of us. I was a hungry associate who could take good care of his patients and, make him some money at the same time. And I was a sponge who was willing to soak in all of the information that I could get my hands on in order to figure out the psychology of people and the business of dentistry. I mean, I think all dental schools teach us how to be good technicians. We don't learn the value of business and transferable, scalable skills until we get out in the real world and work with other people, specifically a good mentor.
Well, speaking of mentors, this doctor obviously was a very good mentor. You, I think just because of you have a skill set that a lot of young people don't have, and you obviously heard some things about this doctor just in your conversation with him, which I think was very, very prudent for you. When he came out with a guarantee, a strong guarantee, well, that tells me something about that person has some confidence, right? Confidence that if he's going to provide a guarantee, that must have something going on there. And of course, you checked him out more and found that out. But yeah, as a mentor, somebody that you came in and, as you said, he had a big enough practice that was robust so you could get to work. You were hungry to get going. But he provided a lot of that mentorship for you in those other areas that aren't taught in dental school, correct? You felt like you learned a lot by your time that you spent there.
100%. I've never been one who's been one to try to go anything alone anyway. I'm kind of a tribal person. I like being with a group. I think two heads are better than one, and so are 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20, whatever. I knew that I didn't know what I didn't know. And I think if I had one bit of advice for kids, I say kids, grown young men and women coming out of dental school, it's to realize that you don't know what you don't know and be willing to accept that advice and grow, because, you don't learn how to be a good dentist by doing a good occlusal filling. You learn to be a good dentist by the people skills and the life skills you get with working with your staff, your team, other dentists in your practice, outside your practice, continuing curriculums, practice management courses, groups like Freedom Founders,
So your associateship eventually grew into a financial interest in that practice.
Absolutely.
You became a partner. Like, how many years down the road, just to give us some context?
So when we started, it was kind of like, every associate should have a trial period of, not only proving himself or herself, worthy of being able to sustain and grow the practice with the existing dentist if there's going to be a partnership, but you should also be testing whether that practice is the right place for you. And you should use that time as much as you can to soak up all the knowledge from all the resources that you have. It didn't take long before, I think my dental school class, we're still very close. Of the 60 people that I graduated with, I think I hold daily, if not weekly, conversations with 15 to 20 of those people. And even out of school, we all kind of compared notes. Hey, man, where are you working? How's your day? What's your schedule look like? Hey, can you believe this happened? I mean, it was a constant networking call. You got different stages in your life. And for us, that was seeing what's out there and what's available. And when someone else did have something interesting come up, the other people that were not involved in that particular situation can learn from that and possibly gain an opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you made a decision, you and your wonderful wife, Haley, made a decision a few years down the road that you were going to leave Shreveport and move to Baton Rouge. Talk a little bit about that, because that's got to be that. I know that was not the easiest decision, but there were some reasons why you decided it would be a good move. Obviously, there's some risk involved. You were in a good situation in Shreveport with a very strong practice, doing very, very well. And here you are. And again, give some context, like how many years down the road was this from the time you started in Shreveport as an associate to the point where you made the decision to move to Shreveport, to Baton Rouge? How many years was that, Cody?
So this is something that was, this was the stressful part of our life, but I definitely think it worked out well. We had been practicing for 12 years. Let's see, 2005 to 2000. No, I'm sorry. 14 going on 15 years. And I mean, no, I'm sorry. I'll go back and say that it was 12 years to where, you know, you've made your roots. You've established yourself. You've put in the time to pay your dues in a new practice. And I would still say that as successful as that practice was, the other things you learn from a network of people you trust and, you know, talk with on a daily basis is it's not all about just you, and it's not all about just work. You know, we had some family things that came up that we had some opportunities in Baton Rouge for our kids. And so we decided to make the move. And while it was scary, part of the reason why it wasn't as scary is because of the foundation that I built from the people that I learned. And I had a network of friends and family in Baton Rouge that were willing to help us with a brand new startup once again. And while I don't think every dentist will be excited about I'm going to say a mid-career course correction, it turned out better than you would expect. There's a lot of fear in the unknown, but it's never as bad as you think it's going to be. And as long as you're willing to put in forth the work, I mean, it turned out better than we could have ever imagined.
So that startup then turned into multiple practices. So give us kind of a little bit of that, and you know, your good friend who you've partnered with there in Baton Rouge. And again, you talked about network. You talk about, you know, relationships, people that you went to school with, people you kept up with, and how important that has been in your progression as both a professional in your own career, right? But also head of household with you and your family. And again, like you said, not just looking at yourself and saying, well, gee, I can't move because it's all about me. And, you know, I won't dare leave this great practice in Baton Rouge, in Shreveport, because gosh, you know, the sky could fall, and it didn't. So talk about how you kind of elevated and where you are today with your practices.
Well, I guess I'll start with the decision to actually, you know, make the move. At that time, I guess it was interesting, but we were reading the E-Myth book, where I think every business owner has three internal personalities. You got the manager, the technician, and the visionary, or the entrepreneur. And what was so interesting about my Shreveport practice is there was three partner owners, and we all had 100% of the third of each. One guy was 100% the technician, hard worker. One guy was 100% the manager, and one guy was 100% the visionary and entrepreneur. And I would say that I was the visionary and entrepreneur. I was never afraid of change or trying things or risk. Dentistry is a very, you know, you try to look at metrics and numbers, and it's a very safe field. You're always going to have patients that need you, no matter what your niche is. You know, it's been a great foundation for me. I'm biased, but I couldn't see myself doing anything else. It was a great jump off starting point for investing. I can't think of any that are better. But take that mindset, and I'm thinking of all the possibilities and the fun things that can happen as a start over in a new environment, knowing that environment is more competitive, knowing the challenges, but still at the same time being open to the change. And because I had people to bounce ideas off of, my family support. My wife she was key in all this. While I was trying to figure out the business stuff, she's always kind of taken the kids and the family and the school side and tried to, we try to fill our roles as best we can, and none of us can do it by ourselves. But yeah, one of my best friends from school, he had practiced in Baton Rouge very successfully for the same amount of time that I was in Shreveport, built a good patient base. But we didn't want to just kind of merge in together in one practice. We knew the potential in dentistry. So we decided immediately to start with 2 practices, which very soon turned into 3 practices, merged back into 2 practices. And now I'm assuming we'll talk about this shortly, but because of some of the other opportunities, especially in large part from Freedom Founders, that has allowed us to explore further expansion because we have more time to think about things like that.
If you enjoyed watching or learning from this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. If you have a question about any of my content or this specific video, just please leave a comment down below. And as always, stay focused on your freedom. I'll see you next time.